because he says when our mind is connected into the physical world, and he says, like he's showing fast cars moving by, like everything's going so fast, then we don't pick up on the details that are coming through to help us remember the greater details. And everything that we remember will have, he says, significance to assist us in this lifetime.
Yes.
So he's just saying, with that, because he says that it's all unloading the frequencies of what's within us. And he's showing all these locks, like the memories are locks. And so as we quieten the mind and raise our frequency, we continue to unlock all of these little different locks of the memories that are already within us and accessible. And he's saying that even when we hear things about ourselves or we see things, we will see things of understanding royalty, or because many that are having these memories right now have many different positions off the planet, many different planets. And so he says it's allowing the mind to accept it without allowing it to inflate us as well. What is happening in this moment of, I wish it were happening this way, but it's not. I don't know what's blocking it. What am I doing wrong? And so he says, what if it's not what you are doing wrong, but it is the thought of that you are doing something wrong that is blocking it? It is love. It's embodying love. When we judge ourselves or feel that we're doing something wrong, when we are doing everything we can to our knowledge and our ability, when we put that judgment in, that judgment is actually judgment on source.
Hi, this is Akanksshaa. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. If you resonate with me, please like, comment, and share. Welcome to Multidimensional Soul Podcast and a Talk Show. On this show, we talk about deep spiritual and mystical experiences of people which we normally shy away talking about. We are more than our physical body. We are spiritual beings on a human journey, and we discuss how a soul exists on multiple dimensions. We discuss science, technology, and spirituality point of views and perspectives on this show. Our purpose is to open our minds to limitless possibilities and our hearts to love and shine the light within bright. Hello, everyone. Today it's a special episode for me. It's so close to my heart and soul. This is the episode where we had live conversations with my son Arnav, who crossed over in 2020 and who is now my spirit guide and guides me from beyond the veil. We've had channeler Michelle Gray from Canada channeling Arnav. And this is a two-part conversation, so do watch both the parts. When Arnav was a kid, when he was in kindergarten and later in elementary school, we were in the US, and there the teachers used to tell kids, the boys, to make Valentine's Day cards for moms. And Arnav used to make very beautiful handmade, hand-drawn Valentine's Day cards for me. He used to make them on Mother's Day and birthday as well. And they're so precious, I have preserved them. In February 2020, when it was COVID, he just went out and for a bit and bought a rose for me. And he gave me that rose, and that photograph is there on the thumbnail. And he said, Mom, I used to make cards when I was a kid for you on Valentine's Day. And I don't do that anymore. I don't even wish you. So I just thought that I will get this rose for you. He's absolutely adorable, such a sweetheart. And I was so happy to receive that from him. So whenever There is Valentine's Day. I remember about Arnav's love. Valentine's Day is not just about romantic love. It is about divine, unconditional love. And that continues, that is eternal, that is not limited to this physical body. And he reminds me all the time about that. So much of love pouring through whenever he connects. And the channelers who have come on my talk show, they have felt it. And Michelle also felt it so strongly, the love and the light, golden light that he exudes. And he is in a very high dimension, in a very high realm, very close to the source. And we were so fortunate and blessed to have this conversation with him. I do channel him and I do get downloads from him through dreams, meditations, and other signs. But this was a live conversation. Michelle is a medium and a channeler for many years, and she did this conversation channeling Arnav. She's been channeling Eric, who, similar to Arnav, crossover when he was very young. And what I understand is Eric and Arnav are connected in the higher realms. And she also channeled Source directly, the Source, God. This conversation was very light and full of love, but at the same time, it was tough at times because he is my child and I am his mom and I'll always be his mom. So I felt like crying many times, and even Michelle had tears in her eyes. But I have worked so much on myself during the last 4 years on healing myself, consciously working on myself, that I am able to talk without breaking down. I hope you can feel that love and that light and that bliss beyond my grief. We have with us today Michelle Gray, who is an intuitive healer, channeler, medium, and spirit art channeler. A very warm welcome, Michelle, on Multidimensional Soul Talk Show and a podcast. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be here with you. This is great.
Hello, all. So, warm welcome once again in this episode. This is part two of our two-part conversation where Michelle Gray, a spiritual healer and channeler from Canada, channeled my son Arnav, who crossed over in 2020. Even though this is a standalone episode, I highly recommend that you watch part one, where we discussed about Michelle's spiritual journey, how she got into healing, channeling. We talked about Arnav's realm and dimension. So this is something that Arnav himself told, that he is in 12th dimension. He also talked about his life review and our joint soul mission and purpose, how Arnav started communicating with me, and how communication happens even if somebody incarnates again on earth, exploring parallel universes, because Arnav has taken me through astral travel in parallel universes, and science and spirituality, insights, multiple soul missions, because we are multi-dimensional souls. Arnav's connection to the source energy. He's very close to the source, and he had embodied his higher self even when he was physically here at just 17 years of age. So, lot of heart touching, soul touching conversation that we had during the last episode. Last episode, or part one, was released on the Valentine's Day, that is 14th of February. Do watch that as well. And let me know in the comments what resonates with you.
He he wants to just say one other thing about his life review, because he said that for him, the life review was so sweet. So sweet. Because it was all love. It was all love. So he just wants you to know just how blessed and how he was able to appreciate from so many different angles how loved he is and how much he loves you and how great his life was in the physical with you.
I always feel so blessed and grateful, and I always thank God that even physically, whatever little time he was here, I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
No, neither would he.
Will I be able to see him anytime? Because what I understand is, as we are ascending, the veil is going to be so thin that we will be able to see the loved ones who have crossed over. We'll be able to see angels. So,
Yes.
is there any time in near future? When is it going to happen?
He says, yes, that's what is in the process right now. That is what's happening. He says, Mom, the guidance that you are receiving, because you are embodying more of your soul, more of source energy. He says that the things, it's multi-layered, of course. Things that are happening all at once are the frequency of Earth, the expansion of, he says, a collective energy of raising frequency. But he says there is no veil any longer between the two. He says that the veil is more of a, he says to think of it as the subconscious. It is the subconscious because the conscious mind knows what it wants. The conscious mind says, I want to see you. He says the subconscious is what creates
Illusion?
he says illusion, yes, but he says like a it's almost a blockage, but he says it's the continuation of embodying more of the higher energy in combination with the collective energy raising, the earth energy raising, which allows the integration and the ability to be able to perceive. So he's saying that we're in this time right now. This is the process that's happening. And so you may have experiences with him that begin more of a physical experience of his light. And so starting to see sparks, sparkles, sparks. He says his energy. So although he's got his energy embodied with you, he actually, his energy tends to come around the left hand side. So you want to look from your left peripheral. You will start to see almost what looks like a hazy silhouette of him. And so you'll see those things first before you start to see more of that, more of his presence, he says, his light. Now, what's interesting is what he's showing me is that you've seen him, so you must have seen him already. Did you have an experience where you saw movement or you saw him at one point? Because he's showing me his energy and he's putting my vision over, which is your perspective, and looking. So, was this a dream or how did you perceive him? Because he says that you've seen him.
I have seen him in meditation. One is that with in dreams I have astral traveled to parallel universes and his realms. But in meditation, it so happened a few days ago that it was so real that I could actually see him like this. Like,
Okay, because what he's showing me right now is that is part of preparation to see him physically. And so he's just saying, when you just said the word real, he just gave me all kinds of sensation on this side. And that experience felt like that because his presence was right there. And
yes,
so it's blending. So that's what's taking place. So he says that our physical body, the subconscious, the layers of our he says like the emotional body, the mental, it goes through a stage to be able to bring it in. And that's what's been happening. So it's interesting that you just had that a few days ago, because he's showing that as it's happening now. He keeps saying it's happening now. So you're going to have these physical experiences when you're not in meditation that start to show more like this sparkling light, seeing where his energy is, um, perceiving movement around you, and that will continue, and then you will experience it in a way that is much more physical. And he says that it's for our vibration, so for us physically and their vibration to hold. So yes, there is nothing that is blocking it, but it's the physical body. So it's the density parts of us that makes it so challenging. um but this is the process that's happening, and you will write about that. You will
yeah,
be writing about that
I do want to,
experience.
because I want to help people connect with the higher beings. And I'm so blessed that my son is in a very high realm and he's a highly evolved soul already. So, one thing is there that there is still a lot of trauma in my body,
Yes.
and my body is still processing. I have accepted it at the conscious level, but at the subconscious, at the body memory level, this is still taking time for me to accept his crossing over.
Yeah.
And I am working on it tirelessly for the last 4 years or so. But it is a slow process. There's a lot of pain in the body. And also, I have had attacks from dark entities in the
Yeah.
last couple of years.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that has also affected my body. So, how can we remove this fear and this trauma from the body?
So what he's saying is that, so first of all, he's saying that what you have experienced, because there's um and I love that you use the word multidimensional to describe everything, because he's saying everything is multidimensional, because there really is no one specific answer to how things are occurring, because he's first addressing the trauma. And he's saying that the trauma, because that is a process, he says you do understand that it's the intention of working, the intention of continuing to, he says, be able to, when you're embodying your higher self, he says the physical parts of it are addressing when the traumas occur, addressing when the grief occurs within the body, to be able to look at it, to be right with it, to be able to feel it. Because he says for trauma to be able to pass through, because we can't stop it, it must pass through us. And so that's your process that's happening right now, is allowing it to pass through, using the tools that you have to allow that trauma to be present. And he says to love it, to know that it is okay to have that, and to know that it has a purpose within you and a purpose for others as well,
True,
and
true.
that that will continue to lighten. And so he says memory uh the memories in the body, the reactions in the body will start to he says neutralize more and more. They will neutralize. So now he says about the dark entities, part of why that happens, and he says again, he's showing his fingers like many reasons, many reasons. And he says why it happens is because when you have experienced trauma, he says it creates within the aura, it creates, he says, tears, like tears.
That's
So,
true. Yeah.
yes. And he says, and so the uh, light that you are shines through the tears. And he says the darkness, where a lot of that energy resides, wants to gain energy from that light. And so he says that the reasons why it happens, of course, is that's what's happening spiritually within the aura. And then he says the other reason why it happens is to understand that, Mom, because of what you've experienced, you are a testimony. You are a testimony, and one that many others have experienced, whether they're aware of it being entities or not. He says that they get pulled into a darker place, or they're affected, and their life spirals, and they don't completely understand what has happened because of the pain they've experienced, the traumas that they've experienced. So he says what you've had to do to work through that, because he says it's the trust that you've had to continue to embody, the trust and the continuation despite what you have experienced, because he says those things happen because of the greater benefit of what will come from it. And so he says, because truly you are very protected. You
Yes.
are very protected.
Yes, that message I keep getting. I also used to get messages as to who's attacking me. So the deities used to give me messages. The ascended masters used to give me messages that this person or this entity is attacking you. And then
Yes.
I used to be taught to kind of build a boundary, energetic boundary. So yes, but at those times I was impacted because of the trauma and the grief and
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And because grief is as you know, the grief is a very heavy vibration.
Yeah.
And what's happening is you are transmuting the grief. And so you are holding the grief and honoring it without allowing it to pull you down, or to allow anything else to pull you down. And you've always been very protected. You always will be very protected. So that is what he is saying is that for anyone um, that's listening, that it's important that you understand that when you are experiencing something that is painful, that is traumatic, when you're in that place, he says the empowerment, because he's talking about the personal power. You are the one that is in power. You are the one that is in control. And so he says to ask, what control, what choices do I have here? The energetic boundaries. He says using the intention of what to connect. He says the prayer, the everything that you have to be able to hold up that truth within your physical being. And he says, and also the intention of, Eric is joining in here too, of what you do on a day-to-day basis, what you are involved in. What are you eating? What are you listening to? What are you engaging with? What are you doing that maybe you can set aside? Because all of those things, um, they add up, and they will lower our vibration. And Erica is just jumping in and saying it's not about being perfect. It's not about perfection. It is the intention of, I'm working on this, because the more we do it, the more light we're allowed to embody, or we allow to embody. And that solidity, it's like sewing up those tears, and they can no longer come to us, because as we embody more light, we are much more solid in us
Yeah.
and in who we are. And that is the process. But it's beautiful what your son is showing me of the sewing, because as they're doing it, they're showing me your aura and the sewing that is
Yeah.
taking place.
Yeah, I have also been blessed and fortunate to connect with the right healers in the process, and they
Yes.
were connected in synchronicities by ascended masters and deities and Arnav also. Yeah.
We will always be led to the right places. And I'll bring up the very first thing that I saw in meditation, which was surrender. Surrender the need to control what's happening, because so many things happen out of our control. And we find ourselves in these places of it's out of my hands, but we have the ability to take control of what we can within ourselves. And that surrender is that process that occurs, that we begin as we become lighter and lighter bit by bit. We begin to realize that everything is being aligned, that we will be led to where we need to be. We will receive what we need, and we understand that everything that comes to us in the present moment is exactly what we need, even if our human mind says, oh, I'm not too sure about this, or this doesn't feel right. It will become knowing in our heart that even the hard things, when we do something that's challenging or difficult, when it feels right, it doesn't always mean it's easy, but it is right for us and will always lead us to what we need and will help us expand and embody what we are all really here to do.
Yeah, so true. Arnav had actually shown me future timelines along with my twin flame. I'm also on a twin flame journey, and very recently, in the last 1 month or so, I've been guided that somebody else will come, and not my twin flame, because he's using his free will and not come in union with me.
Well, and you're getting a lot of these little pieces, and he's saying it, and this is, you don't have to figure any of it out,
Okay.
because this is an adventure
Okay.
on both sides. On both sides. This is an adventure. And so there'll be a lot of things you'll see, and I'll tell you, and I'll show you this. I want to show you this book. In the very early days, I've got several of these books. Okay, you'll see how tattered it is with all my notes.
Okay.
And these are all the things that Eric had told me and what Source had told me over, all the times that I was studying before anything was happening. And I would get visions and dreams of things that made no sense. How would I be doing that? How would I go from being sick with an IV in my bed to connecting with people around the world? How would that be possible? And so the way he's showing it to me is he's saying, because he says, show the book, show the book, because you don't know how things unfold
True,
behind the
true.
scenes. And this is such a path of trust, and such a path of trusting exactly what you're doing, because you're working on yourself inside. You're working on your own healing, and it continues to expand your ability to attract the opportunities that he is assisting to line up for you. That is your soul purpose. And aliens, let me tell you, is a very big part. Is a very big part. And it is for me as well.
Oh, wow.
I can see what we didn't know prior to meeting today. All of the pieces that Arnaud has, and Eric, yes, have magnificently with all the assistants put together to show us both that we are exactly where we're meant to be, and to continue doing the work with ourselves and giving that outwards, and trusting that the opportunities and what we need will continue to show themselves to us by following. Because we have family in multi-dimensional places
True.
that are very excited that we're at this point. And the
Oh,
excitement is like, my energy is just on both sides. My energy and what I feel in my body is very, it feels like static electricity. It's the best way I can explain it. And when that happens, that is connection. That is, this is it. This is the next stage is unfolding. This is, you're bringing in family. And the ETs, oh, they're communicating, they're already around you. So
yeah, but
they're
who are
already,
they? Because I know that I'm a Pleiadian and Nihal
yeah,
starseed, and
yes. So
are
they
they
just
from
said the Palladians. Yes,
Pleiadians? Okay.
yes, they already told me that. They just said, because when you said who, Palladians, they answered very quickly.
I
Yes,
am also
and
having interviewed a lot of people who are in touch with Venusians on my podcast.
yes, very interesting. And I just learned recently about my connection to them. With my art that I do, I've got many ET drawings,
Oh,
many. And I draw, that's how I have been able to make sense of interdimensional beings and understanding uh, all of consciousness. Everything is through the drawings. So I'm a little bit taken back here because I could feel all the energy, and Arnaud is smiling because he knew, like a surprise. So there is definitely some more unfolding that is taking place of understanding ourselves and our greater purpose, because as you said, there are so many purposes.
yeah.
He's also showing so your presence on the internet, a lot of the work that you put out, he says, is it's reaching the right people. So exactly how it comes together, he's not showing me, but he's saying that, like, to keep putting together whatever ideas, inspirations that you get, to continue to put that together, and you will be led to the next step, to the next person. That's why everything is getting stronger. It's because the knowingness of how you're being led through is, he says, like, no thought, I just know. No thought, I just know. I know. And he's saying that this is the process. This is all part of the adventure, because it is for so many different levels of you, for your heart, for your mind. He says, for our connection and for the world.
Yeah, we do have a bigger purpose, both of us, actually, three of us. And he has shown me that me and my divine counterpart and him working together for our soul mission.
Yes. Yes. He just said that you don't have to worry about a thing. You just keep working on you keep doing what you're doing. He says, I'll take care of the details.
What is the
One
best
amazing.
way to restore our soul memories, the highest self memories? Because that's the way to realize oneself.
So he says, the best way to do that is, well, it's the combination of being able to quieten our mind, the busy mind, the conscious mind. As we're able to quieten that, he says, and our own growth. So he says, first, being able to untie the attachments to the physical world. Because he says when our mind is connected into the physical world, and he says, like he's showing fast cars moving by, like everything's going so fast, then we don't pick up on the details that are coming through to help us remember the greater details. And everything that we remember will have, he says, significance to assist us in this lifetime.
Yes.
So he's just saying meditation, but he's saying, is meditation, it doesn't have to be sitting, although he says it is beneficial to sit and have meditation practice, but he's just saying that being able to be one with nature, one with quiet space, being able to purify the mind, purify the mind. And he says through purification of the mind, and he says in the will to do so with that, because he says that it's all unloading the frequencies of what's within us. And he's showing all these locks, like the memories are locks. And so as we quieten the mind and raise our frequency, we continue to unlock all of these little different locks of the memories that are already within us and accessible. And as we do that, he says they start to come in. And he says they come in different ways. They can come in through meditation. They can come in through dreams. They can come in through being at a location and suddenly having a visual or a memory. He says to not discount how they come, but to practice accepting them, because he said that many things that come are sometimes very hard for the mind to believe.
Oh, yeah. I have seen myself as a goddess. And if I tell somebody, it may sound so pompous that I'm a goddess, but it is true that I am a goddess
Yes,
at the causal level.
yes, yes, that's exactly right. And so he says the quietening of the mind is the ego, the part of us that in many ways has kept us in a box. And he says it's treating the ego as the child and helping use it for its purpose rather than allow it to take us on a ride. And so he says that in doing that, allowing these memories to surface is to not judge them, to let them present themselves. And he's saying that even when we hear things about ourselves or we see things, we will see things of understanding royalty, or um, because many that are having these memories right now have many different positions off the planet, many different planets. And so he says it's allowing the mind to accept it without allowing it to inflate us as well, because he
Exactly.
says that that is also a risk of spirituality, or of one taking the path, is that hearing that information saying, oh well, I know these things because this is me. And he says that that is uh, just as dangerous to our soul growth as it is to not believing it.
Yeah, exactly. The middle path, the balanced way of recognizing the soul or the self
Yes.
and accepting it that, okay, this our self or soul is so magnanimous, royal, divine, and at the
Yes.
same time, not getting that into our head while living this physical world is a skill that
Yes.
we need to
Yes.
kind of master.
It yes, it is. And he says that's why the personal growth, um, as we continue to go through the experiences, and he's expressing to me um, how many of my experiences humbled me. And through that humility, it allowed me to ground the energy within me so that I could look at things more objectively but it's that neutralizing and feeling that compassion for the things that, yes, the things that I did not prefer in myself, and to have compassion for that, but to also, not overinflate the things that I love as well, but to be in that neutral place, so that as we continue to do that, he says that that pathway brings in so much more in our experience. And it is a practice.
Yeah.
That is a journey in itself.
True, true. But at the same time, what happens is, I believe that when we incarnate on earth, it is a journey of not just self realization, but also self actualization.
Yes.
Because we are here to live this life. And when we are on that soul mission, we are here to create that in our physicality and anchor
Yes.
in that light and love here
Yes.
through our whatever ventures that we undertake. And so that is something that I want to ask, like, what is the best way to manifest what we are doing? Like right now, for example, I'm doing a podcast and I release it once a week, and I do want to release it twice a week, but there is so much happening. I also have been guided very recently, like 3 4 days back, I was guided to share whatever I channel, the channeled messages. So the first one I shared like 4 days ago. So there is so much happening, so I need to know how to exactly manifest with ease and grace
Yeah.
without struggling and working hard for it, kind of.
Yes. So the hard work is truly what you have been doing. It's the inner work. The hard work is the listening to your guidance and knowing what is the intention of what it is that you're creating, wanting to bring in. Because the most challenging thing is, what is it that I actually want to do? And why do I want to do it? Knowing those two things, the next part of it is allowing ourselves to take action on what we can towards that goal. And so for you, you are taking action. Now, the other piece is also, again, it's the surrender to understand that it does take on earth time to bring certain things in. And of course, there are things that we learn, and we may not always know in the moment what the importance is of why we're learning that will help us at the next stage. And so as we're manifesting, it's what is my bigger goal and what are the smaller goals? What are the daily goals? What are the weekly goals of what I'm manifesting? What am I creating with my actions? And then what I'm bringing in is truly meeting it at a frequency level. And so if I'm bringing in an opportunity, if I'm bringing in a device, a person to assist me, if I'm bringing in any of those things, what exactly do I need? And being able to take action. So if that action is, well, at this time I'm looking for someone to help me, well, then I may use, he's saying, if it's like AI, if it's something that I can use to help my schedule, I'm going to do that because that's within my control. But I've got the bigger picture of, this is going to be bigger. I'm going to need somebody else. And this is what I need to bring in, including the finances. But he says, remember, the finances can come through different avenues. So he says that's why the uh, engine that really moves things is actually us. We are the creator energy embodied here into the earth. We are the ones that are here allowing this to come through. And so as we do these things that we have responsibilities for, he says it's intention, it's action, it's responsibility of the emotions, and responsibility of reactions in life. So as we understand what our reactions are, because sometimes he says patience becomes short, that we can become impatient and we can react. And he says to remember that everything in the creator is a vibrational experience, and that source energy wants us to be able to do anything with that. And so allowing that to come through is to not embody judgment. And he says, are you judging what is happening in this moment of, I wish it were happening this way, but it's not. I don't know what's blocking it. What am I doing wrong? And so he says, what if it's not what you are doing wrong, but it is the thought of that you are doing something wrong that is blocking it? So he says to look at it more as, I do not need to do everything perfect. I just need to understand what I am doing, what I have available to me, and doing the best I am able to do. And am I taking responsibility for myself? And he just showed like a cosmic explosion. When you do those things, he says it opens everything up and we're able to allow more in, because it creates that magnet, because source energy is, it is love. It's embodying love. When we judge ourselves or feel that we're doing something wrong, when we are doing everything we can to our knowledge and our ability, when we put that judgment in, that judgment is actually judgment on source. And so when we remove that, it opens everything, and it's that practice.
That's very profound. That when we judge ourselves, it's a judgment on source. Are there different levels of realization? Because what I understand is many times when people talk about ascended masters, some say that Buddha is the ultimate level. Then some say that no, no, no. Even beyond Buddha, there are so many levels. So, and if you can channel it either through the source directly or through Arnav and Eric, but are there any different levels of self-realization?
Yes. As we continue to understand ourselves, and this is why this process here on earth does take a journey. It does take time, and for many, as they return and continue on a process in slightly different ways, the realization, the self-realization, is we start to shift the perspective, because it's a continuation of a shifted perspective and understanding. The truth that lies ahead is to not become completely attached to any one truth. And although something might feel right and correct and be right in that moment, it is. It is not wrong. It is what our awareness and what the ability to understand and where our consciousness is present at in that given moment. But as we continue to grow, we begin to see things in a slightly different perspective. This is also as we are continuing to understand ourselves as one with source. And so we experience these different fractals of our soul in many different ways across multiple dimensions with slightly different perspectives. While we look here on earth right now and we understand that many people are on earth and they are coming from so many different places, much of the division that we experience is the division of perspective. Can there be more than one truth to one thing? Yes. Yes, there can. But what is true for all is love. And that love comes through in many different ways. But love is the entire source. One thing that is most important for each and every person listening is to understand the perspective that you have today. Keep an open mind and keep your awareness, and with the intention that this is how I see things today. And my mind may yearn for what is the ultimate truth. Is this the only way? But as you continue to grow and as you continue to seek and understand, this is truly the walk of surrender, and not so much of the remembering and adding to, but the undoing and allowing it to be, which is what will give you the ultimate understanding.
Yeah, so beautiful. What is it that we as a collective need to prepare for and focus on for 2025?
This is the year of change, and where there are many things that are closing, and you may find that there are cycles that continue to repeat in your mind or in your body. Know that they are coming up and repeating to yourself to show you that they are leaving, to show you that they are no longer a part of the reality that you had been in. And this is not a sad goodbye. This is I no longer need this. And so now I'm moving into something new. And I understand that this grand adventure that I'm on is full of opportunity. And so this is the year that it would be excellent to be able to put out what exactly do I see for myself this year, as in, what are the things that I want to feel? What are the things that I want to accomplish? And know that as you do that, the things that are truly in your heart are truly what moves the heartbeat of the world, because you are here to help open up and expand many different areas within the human consciousness. This is the year to be able to let go of pain. This is the year to be able to embody more truth of yourself. And the truth of yourself is embodying the authentic nature of your heart, of your higher heart. When we look into the world for 2025 and we look into the energy of how do we survive this year, we change the word of survive to thrive. We say that this is the year to thrive. What is happening around you? Look around. Do you see fear? Do you see love? Do you know that your choice is to be able to see love in everything? But it is also important to be able to acknowledge the difficulty, to be able to say, I don't prefer to be part of that, or that is very difficult for me to be a part of. I choose not to be in fear. But I can understand that others do have fear, and that is okay. It is not my job to take that away from them, because I choose to allow, through the unconditional love in my heart, for each to be where they are, to be able to make their free will choices on their journeys. But it is important for me to be able to do what is right for me. So do not look at what is occurring around you as something that is breaking apart and falling apart, because we can see from this angle that there is so much fear of what will be, and fear of, is the world coming to a place that we will no longer recognize? Well, the breaking down of the structures in many different directions, the breaking down, and we'll say the pulling of the thread, the string that is connected to a great deal of heaviness and fear, is no longer what is leading the way. The light is leading the way, and to be able to be connected to more of that experience, you have the choice, and it is your responsibility to continue to say, I choose light, I choose love. I can still understand why the other is here, but I'm going to choose that no matter what is happening around me, to me, I understand that it is happening for me. When I understand that it is happening for me, I will begin to see things happen in my life that help support what my intention is. I will begin to see things in this world that support the world coming into more of a loving place. And as we know, the healing path that each and every individual takes, the world must heal. The collective must heal. And so we are watching this unfold as we continue to bring in the higher source in the most perfect divine ways for each and every individual. So we ask you to walk this year in not fear, but to walk in love. We ask you to walk in responsibility for yourself. And as you do that, you will feel more and more the presence of love, the presence of the source within each and every one of you.
Wow, that's very profound. Yeah. I have a few questions that I ask all my guests. So, can I ask you those questions?
Of course.
If you were to explain multidimensional soul to a lay person, how would you explain it?
Well, I would explain it in a way that would be thinking about multitasking. And so you're a human being and you have the ability to drive your car and listen to the radio and think about what happened during the day and what you're going to do a little bit later. And then you might go, oh, I forgot to take something out of the dryer, or what am I going to have for dinner? And so the multidimensional soul is very much aligned to the same thing. However, it is not just these different vibrations of thought, but expands to different parts of us that are existing beyond our current awareness.
What is holistic well being according to you?
Holistic well being, that is a totality, meaning body, mind, soul. It is encompassing the entirety of us. It's who we are here on earth and how we care for our body, our energy, our spirit, our connection, our relationships, everything.
Yeah. What is love?
Well, in my journey so far here in life, I can say that love has come in so many different forms. It has come in sweet, it has come in painful, it has sometimes come in ways that uh, may look disciplinary, like you are doing something you know is the best for someone, including ourselves, that might be difficult. But love is the intention. It is that space within us where we are connecting to what is good, what is leading. Love is not always in the same form, just like we are not always in the same form. But love to me is what brings healing in every way.
Yeah. What is self love?
Self love is being able to parent ourselves. Self love is to be able to understand what it is that we need. And sometimes what we need may feel like we don't have time for it. But it's really understanding what helps us be able to be a whole being. And sometimes it's saying no. Sometimes it is giving ourselves space. Sometimes it's pushing ourselves to do the things that we maybe don't feel like doing, but it's going to be good for us. So it's being able to find that higher voice in us that gives us that push that a parent would, to say, I love you enough that I need you to do this today because it's good for you.
What is the ultimate purpose of life according to you?
The ultimate purpose of life is creation. It is creation. It is the freedom and the peace to be here on earth and to be able to create the experience that we are in the way that best aligns with us.
Yeah. And what's your parting message for our audience today?
If you could take anything from today, that is the most important thing, is get to know your intuition. Get to know that inner voice or that feeling in your stomach, no matter how long or how loud it is or how small it is. Practice listening to it and practice following it, even if that means little steps at a time, because it doesn't always look logical, but it will always lead us to the very best.
Yeah, beautiful. And how can people connect with you?
So you can find me on my website at the healing, and it's h-art.com. And you can also find me, it once was the Healing Heart on YouTube, but it is now, we have a show called Mentorship Mondays with Michelle and Marin, and I have a co-host, Marin, and we do shows every Monday night at 7 o'clock Eastern. And we're also wherever you listen to podcasts as well, Spotify, Apple, all of those places. We're on there as well, and we talk about everything spiritual, mediumship, you name it.
Hey, awesome. We'll provide all the links in the video description as well.
Thank you.
It's been an honor having you here, Michelle.
Same.
And
Thank you for having
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you, Arnav. Thank you, Eric, and thank you all the angels and the source. And thank you so much for so beautifully channeling all of them.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And your son says he loves you so much. Wants to make
I
sure
love
you
him.
know.
I love him so much. He's the one who taught me unconditional love, actually.
Yes. He's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching and listening in wherever you are in the world. As Ramdas says, that we all are just walking each other home. So thank you for co-creating the new earth along with me and our guests. And if you resonate with me, do subscribe to my channel and do let us know how you find our episodes. Thank you so much. Lots of love.